Hey guys, this is Stu. This is my second inbox review of today, one I have been eagerly awaiting to present to you. It is of course the Tamiya Tiger 1 late production. The thing that was different about this version of the Tiger was that it had steel rim wheels and also had 100mm frontal armour, which was a little bit thicker than the two previous production ones. And again, like the mid-production, it didn't have a 5-foot filter system. It was basically more upgraded, had a machine gun cradle at the front of the cupola, and the cupola was a similar layout to the mid-production, which just slid over to offer obviously more protection to the commander. It was basically introduced around about January 1944, took part in most of the Normandy campaign, specifically the unit that Michael Wittmann was well known for in the Battle of Villers-Bocage. And I'm happy to say that one of the versions depicted in this tank is basically of Michael Wittmann's last Tiger 007. However, the one that you see on the familiar box art is basically one of the same unit Michael Wittmann was in, which is number 308. I think his was 305 or 4, so this was one of his colleagues that was in his same unit. Anyway, without further ado, we'll get on with the review of the kit. As you can see, you've got beautiful in-box art illustration there, typical of a late production Tiger, with the commander on top, which you do have a crew figure for. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a one-piece barrel, it comes with two halves, so I will be sourcing a metal barrel from RB Models or Lime Raw. And as you can see with the actual markings depicted, this is 308 of the same unit that Wittmann was in. On the side of the box, the kit number, if you want to get hold of one, is 35146. 4000. I'll leave that there if you want to pause it. Okay guys, right. And then on the side of the box you've got two alternate versions that you can do the kit in, depicting two late Tigers. I think this one was at Kovno in Russia, and this one was of a unit again in Normandy. Okay, and on the back you've got an illustration of the crew figure, which you can see here, the commander's figure, which does look like Wittmann himself. There you go. And then obviously another alternate version you can do this Tiger in. Alright, let's open the box and see what's inside. Again, you've got the familiar layout of Tamiya's with the illustration of the assembled kit, which I have to say looks rather good. Admittedly, this doesn't come with moulded Zimmerit on. You'd have to get an aftermarket set, which I'm glad to say I've got an Edward set with this kit in particular. Then you've got a short history, obviously, again about the vehicle. First stage is basically all the colour call-outs that you see there on the top page. Again, other instructions and other products you can get. And then starting with the lower hull, it's all the suspension which is actually put on the side of the vehicle along with the back plate. And then you add the familiar steel wheels, rear idler wheels, a back plate, frontal plates there. Then the assembly of the running gear, which you see here. This one is the main sprocket. Add the running gear to the lower hull, which again I will be leaving till the last part of the construction, and then you move on to the assembly of the exhaust stacks. Fit the exhaust stacks along with the plates and the crank handle as well as the crank cradle onto the back plate of the vehicle. Then you assemble the jack, add the exhaust shrouds to the stacks along with your jack and other tooling. Then you move on to the upper hull, add the front plates onto the upper hull, and also then add the MG machine gun to the machine gunners radio operators section. Again, you do have the option of actually keeping the hatches open, so you can add all the interior detail to both the loaders and the driver's hatch. Then it's the assembly of the engine hatch itself. And then again on the upper hull, basically you add your tow ropes, your ammunition pack, your shackles, and then obviously your tools go onto the upper hull, and then add the upper and lower hulls and side plates to the lower hull. Obviously you can keep the hatches open if you want to, and on this, unlike most Tamiya kits, you've got a link by link set on the tracks, which I must admit I think I'm going to prefer, so I'm probably going to have a go at that. And then basically it's showing you how to lay out and position all the tracks onto the running gear there, and how it should actually assemble at the end with the actual natural sag, as it were. Then you assemble, unusually nearer the end, the actual main mantlet, and obviously the gun carriage. Assemble the two halves, as well as the loader and commander's seats, and then assemble the turret. Put the back loading hatch on, assemble the two halves of the barrel together, add the barrel to the mantlet, put the top of the hull on along with the loader's hatch. You can have that open or closed, as you can see there, and then obviously add all the side tracks on the side of the vehicle with all the other accessories, etc. Put the cupola ring onto the cupola, put the visor port on, add the storage rack onto the back of the turret, then add the commander's cupola top on there, as well as the gun and the cradle. Then you assemble the barrel of the actual turret to the main hull, putting the tow ropes either side for the tracks, as well as the skirts. And then finally you add the tow bars, as well as the two rear mud guards, and that's the assembly of the kit itself. Now, as I said, the one good and pleasing thing that I was very happy to find out when I opened this kit, when I first looked at it, you've got a colour call out and an actual illustration of the completed kit, and below a colour guide to the crew figure, which you see there. And as you can see, you've got the markings of 007 if you want to do it in that marking, and obviously it's typical tritonal for the late version. So I was very pleased to see that. I've always wanted 007, and now I've got her. So that will complete part of my Wittmann collection. Anyway, let's look at the main components of the actual kit itself. Right here you've got the running gear with the idler wheel and the main running gear. Again, with the difference with the late version was that these had steel wheels, so you haven't got to worry about masking off the tyres on this, so that's going to be nice. And then there's your main sprocket, and I have to say I'm quite impressed with the level of detail on this Tamiya kit. It is super. I mean, it's going to come up really well with weathering and washing, and with mud effects. And then obviously you've got the two tow bars there. Moving along, you've got some of the actual suspension arms. Okay, so that's that. Again, on the other set, it's very much the same here. Okay, except you've got part of the exhaust shroud, which is the lower part here. Okay, so that's that. And as I say, with the tracks, it's a link by link set, which is a lot better than those horrible rubber tracks that you normally get with Tamiya kits. So I'm very pleased about that. And again, the level of detail on all of these is really, really good. Really good indeed. Then we get onto the lower hull, as you can see here. Not much detail inside, but you're not going to worry about that because it's going to be virtually buttoned up anyway. Unlike the Dragon kits. Again, the level of detail on it is very nicely done. Not to Dragon's high standards, but again, all the same, very nicely done. As you can see, you've got the escape hatches on the bottom as well. Okay. Then the next sprue is the two halves of the actual turret, which you see here, along with the actual top of the turret, the mantle. You've got the loader's hatch here, and then you've got the headlight right there as well, if I get it near to the camera. Very nicely done. And also the back plate, little sparse compared to the Dragon kits, but again, if you want to super detail this, you can get an Aber or a Line Raw set to go with this Tiger, which I'll probably be investing in. And then obviously you've got the top of the hull here, along with the engine grills and the fan grills. Okay, the only thing that has been omitted is the upper grills. Again, I'm going to source them from either Aber, Edward or Lion Raw, just to get it added detail. And it all, unlike most of the other Dragon kits, it all comes as one piece. Okay, then you've got the frontal armour with the driver's viewport, which is very nicely done again. There is no detail inside the interior of the turret, unfortunately. But to make life a lot easier, when you put the pair of tracks on the side of the turret, they've actually put holes in the turret, so that is going to fit in there nicely. Okay, and I'll just show you the main gun mantlet, which is very nicely detailed. Again, if you want to do Zimmer it, I have actually got an Edward detail set, which I'll just show you in a moment. And then obviously you've got the main crew commander's figure. Get that into shot. Sorry, there you go, guys. Lovely detail on that, I have to say. The only thing they have omitted is basically the Knight's Cross on there. But again, by the time you get this figure in the actual cupola, you're not really going to notice it that much. But again, it is rather nice, I have to say. Very beautifully caught. And you've got the added option of either having a cap, if I can get it into shot, that cap there. Again, they've caught the folds in the cap beautifully. That is very nicely done. And then obviously you've got the option of two heads, if I can get it into shot. Sorry guys, there you go. Again, the likeness on those is very well done. I mean, I'll probably go for this one to represent Wittmann. So there you go. That is that. Very nicely done. I'm very pleased with that. I have to say, this is one of Tamiya's better kits, I have to say. And then we're on to the final sprue, which is the exhaust shrouds. You've got the stowage pack that goes at the back of the turret, part of the actual breech, which you can see here, the exhaust stacks, beautifully caught. Then obviously you've got the side skirts, the tow ropes, and what else? The hatch detail in the interior is very nicely done as well. I'm really pleased about this. It does look a little bit more basic, and obviously you've got the jack as well, if I can get that into shot. That's nicely caught as well. So there you go, that's the main sprues. And as I said, with the decal sheet, you've got one of 4 options, and I like this. That's quite nicely done as well. There's a unit badge, and there you are. As you can see, you've got the option of doing 007, which is the one I'm going to go for. Okay, now to add to your detail, if you want to get some Zimmerits, go for this Edward set. That's your number, so freeze frame that. Okay, and there's the Zim, very nicely done. So that will be going with this kit. So there you have it. That, my friends, is the Tamiya late production Tiger. I'm very, well, it is a bit more basic than the Dragon kits. It is going to be an easier build. But I have to say, all in all, I like this kit. It's one of Tamiya's best. So I would heartily recommend you go out and get one if you can get hold of one. It's going to be a very added piece of armour to my Tiger collection, particularly as it's going to be Wittmann's 007. Now, a friend of mine has indicated I'm going to have to get a conversion set, so to convert it into a Command Tiger, which is probably what I'm going to do. So I will probably build this later this year or the early part of next year. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the review. So until then, happy modelling, get kit crazy, and I'll speak to you soon.